verse, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. Second thing, second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea. Oh, ooh, the master of my sea. Oh,
I was broken from a young age, taking my soul into the masses. Write down my poems from the few that look at me, took at me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the...
Hey, you beat me up, believer, believer. Hey, you break me down, you fill me up, believer, believer. Pain, let them bullets fly, or let them rain. My love, my drive, it came from. Hey, you beat me up, believer, believer. Third things third, send a prayer to the ones up above. All the hate that you heard has turned your spirit to a dove. Oh, ooh, your spirit up above. Oh, ooh.
I was choking in the crowd, lifting my brain up in the clouds, falling like ashes to the ground. Open my feelings, they would drown, but they never did, ebbing and flowing, inhibited, limited, till it broke up and it rained down. It rained down like...
Hey, you beat me up, believer, believer. Hey, you break me down, you fill me up, believer, believer. Pain, let the bullets fly, or let them rain. My love, my drive, it came from. Hey, you beat me up, believer, believer. Last things last, by the grace, through the fire and the flames. You're the face of the future, the blood in my veins. Oh, ooh, the blood in my veins. Oh, ooh.
But they never did, ebbing and flowing, inhibited, limited, till it broke up and it rained down. It rained down like...
Hey, you made me up, believer, believer. Hey, you break me down, you fill me up, believer, believer. Pain, let them bullets fly, or let them rain. My love, my drive, it came from. Hey, you made me up, believer, believer.
So, what do you believe? And does it matter? Do you know, for most of human history, we believed that the world was flat, that there was nowhere to go in the oceans, and so we stayed put and missed opportunity. There was a time in human history where we thought that the best way to cure disease was by bleeding people, putting leeches on their skin, cutting them and bleeding them almost to the point, and in many times to the point, of death. There was a time in history, and unfortunately it still prevails, in some parts of the world where we believe that one group of people is superior or better to another group. You see, sometimes we need someone to step into our limited perspective and show us a new possibility. And so Pythagoras and Aristotle discovered the reality that the world is round, and Columbus and Magellan explored new lands and new territories. It's why you're sitting here today. Louis Pasteur discovered the reality that the problem, the cause, is germs, not letting blood out, but actually curing the problem inside. And so many of us today experience better health because someone gave us a new reality. Martin Luther King Jr. stood in front of thousands with a dream, and in that great speech declared that all men were created equal under God, and it changed a nation and the way we perceived the world. You see, what happened? A mindset was broken. Somebody showed us a better way to believe, and because of it, many followed. And so today, we declare boldly that we believe in a God who is unstoppable today.
Good afternoon. We're off to a good start. Why don't we sing the song? You know what? Heaven thundered and the world was born. Life
guys. You can take your seats.
Woo! Well, who can feel the energy this afternoon, am I right? My name is Brady. I'm your host today. It's so great to have you here at Central, especially if you're here for the first time. If you're new, we're so thrilled that you're here today, and we'd love to connect with you. One of the best ways to do that is in the seat back in front of you. You'll see this blue card. It says Connect card on the top. Feel free to take that out during the experience. Fill out as much information as you feel comfortable, and then after the experience is done, as you're on your way out, stop by the big blue wall in the lobby. We call that Central Connect, and when you do that, we want to put a gift in your hands, just a small token of our appreciation for you being here. So again, fill that card out, take it to the big blue wall in the lobby, and we'll put that gift in your hands. Of course, if you're joining us online, wherever you're joining us from, we're thrilled that you're spending part of your weekend with Central also. Make sure that you interact with the online team, the online pastor there, and let us know how you're doing in any way that we can help you. At this time, I want to invite the hosts forward as we give today. Of course, if you're new with us, don't feel any obligation to give whatsoever. We're just thrilled that you're here. Your presence is gift enough for us. If you are giving regularly to Central, we want to let you know that there are 4 different ways that you can do that, and all of them are there on the screen for you to make note of. And as we're giving today, I've just got a few brief announcements for you that we want to share. And the first one is that you should have received an email this week if you give at Central, if you're part of a group, if you volunteer. We sent out an email to you this week, a link inside that email to a church health assessment tool. And that's a bit of a mouthful, but basically what we want is we want to hear from you. We want to get your honest, raw, unfiltered feedback. And so this assessment tool, it's 100% anonymous, basically gives you the opportunity to let us know what we're doing right here at Central, what maybe we could improve on to help serve you better and to help propel forward the mission that we're trying to accomplish. So again, make sure you check your email. If you didn't get that email, you can head to that big blue wall in the lobby and we'll hook you up with that assessment tool. Again, one of the best ways to make your voice heard and to let us know how we're doing here and helping to serve you better. Next thing we want to make you aware of is groups. They're starting next week, Sunday, September the 24th. And one of the groups that we want to highlight is Alpha. Alpha is a group that's all about asking the tough questions about life, faith, God, purpose. Why am I here on this earth? What am I made for? That's what Alpha is all about. If that sounds like something that you want to explore, we'd love to have you join us at Alpha. Again, it's happening beginning next week, Sunday, September the 24th at the 10:30 service. So you could come experience Alpha at 10:30, stick around, and come to the noon service just like you are right now. And again, that's happening next week. To sign up, you can go online, centralcc.ca/churchlife, or you can also, again, head to that big blue wall in the lobby. Final thing, if you're new to Central, if you haven't yet plugged in, we would love the chance to host you at something we call Next Steps. Next Steps is all about figuring out what we're all about here at Central. Why do we do the things that we do? Why do we care about the things that we care about? And where do you fit in alongside that journey? How do you become part of the Central story? Again, if you're new, if you haven't yet plugged in, this is for you. It's happening next week. No, pardon me. It's happening October the 1st. That's also a Sunday, though. October the 1st at the 12 p.m. service. During that time slot, that's when Next Steps is happening. Again, if you're new, if you haven't yet plugged in, this is for you, and we'd love to host you. Once again, you know what to do. Head to the big blue wall in the lobby, and you can get hooked up for Next Steps there. With all that being said, it's Kickoff Sunday. It's an exciting day here at Central, and we're kicking off a brand new series called Gamechangers. Take a look at the screen.
Breaking the 4-minute mile barrier is impossible. Everyone knows that. History knows it. Science knows it. Anyone in their right mind knows it. It's crazy. Nobody can run that long for that fast. It just can't be done. In 1954, Roger Bannister showed the world it could be done. When nobody believed, he did. Proving it was possible, he showed us a new way to run. So, back to breaking the 4-minute mile barrier. Some would say it was a game changer. I'd say there's more to come.
Well, good afternoon. How you doing? Awesome. Well, if you haven't already picked up on it, there's a theme. And the theme today is, what do you believe, and does it matter? And I want to propose to you today that it matters. Actually, it matters a whole lot. It matters not only here and now, but actually into eternity. Let me explain what I mean by that. You see, here's the deal. Whatever we believe impacts how we behave. And how we behave forms habits that eventually shape us in who we become. You see, what you believe impacts how you behave, which impacts who you become. So, do you like who you're becoming? What do you believe? The Bible puts it this way. It says, "For as a person thinks in their heart, so are they." You see, belief is a powerful tool. I don't know if you watch TED Talks, but I'm fascinated with them. They take the greatest minds and artists and they give them a short amount of time to give their very best. And they are profound, they are powerful. But I don't know if you've been trending on what is happening in sociology and psychology. They are exploring the truth of how powerful what we believe truly is. One doctor, her name was Alia Crum, did an experiment with chambermaids. So those wonderful people who clean up after you make the mess in the hotel. And they found that on the job satisfaction scale, it's pretty low. It's not a job with a lot of morale, a lot of positivity. So they decided to run a social experiment. What they did is they divided these chambermaids into two groups. And with one group, they did a 15-minute lecture on the benefits, physical benefits, emotional benefits of the job that they were involved in. And then they studied how they processed that information later. And what they discovered is that the chambermaids who had had the 15-minute conversation had higher job satisfaction and actually lost weight doing their job. Simply because they believed that their job was exercise and they saw the benefits in it. In another experiment, Dr. Fabrizio Benedetti did this study with patients in pain. And unknowing to the patients, they divided them into two groups and they administered morphine. One group through an IV, so they never saw it being administered. They didn't know it was happening. And another group, they had a doctor physically come into the room and administer the morphine to those patients. Well, would you guess which group actually said they experienced the benefits of the morphine? The one group who didn't know it was happening didn't notice any change. The ones who had a doctor come in and administer it all experienced the change. Same amount of morphine. What was the difference? What they believed. Child psychologist Carol Dweck did a study with kids, and she brought these kids from all different backgrounds into a room, and she gave them a test. And it was an impossible test. There was no way anybody could pass it. And so they sat these kids down and they watched how all these different kids reacted. And they saw one group of kids looked at the exam and quit right away, gave up, didn't even try. There was another group of kids that stuck it out for the whole lot of time working on this problem that was impossible to solve. It was incredibly difficult. So they studied these kids and they found that the kids who stuck it out simply had what she calls a growth mindset. They saw possibility even in the face of a daunting task. They followed these kids, and of course you can guess that these kids were more successful. They advanced much more quickly simply because of what they believed. So let me ask you the question again. What do you believe? And is what you believing helping you or hindering you? This is the question today. Because as Henry Ford said it, whether you believe you can or can't, you're right. Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. Because what you believe matters. In my own life, I've experienced this. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories that maybe some of you have heard before, but it's really important to this point. I grew up moving around a lot, and so one year I was at a British prep school in Thailand in Asia, where I received the highest academic award in my class. I was the highest achieving, academically speaking, student in my class. The next year we moved back to Canada. And in that transition, I had a teacher who not only thought it, but she spoke it to me. She told me, "You're stupid." At the end of that year, I went from a kid who was achieving the highest academic standards to being suggested to my parents that I be put in special classes because I was a slow learner. From that moment on, from that one word on, I struggled all the way through school. I struggled to even graduate from high school. Why? Because of what I believed. I believed I was stupid. And that belief began to impact my behavior. I didn't even study for tests because I thought, you know what? I'm not going to pass anyway, right? I didn't listen in class because I thought it doesn't matter. Teachers hate me and I'm stupid. So no matter what they say, I'm not going to be able to get it. And so what you believe matters. I also was a bit of a loner growing up. And the reason I was a bit of a loner is because, you may not believe it now, but I was always the smallest kid in my class. I was about half a year, I'm a January baby, so my mom, because of my academic achievements early in life, put me ahead in school, so I was always the youngest kid in my class, and I was always the smallest kid in my class. It's interesting, I didn't actually start growing until halfway through grade 12, and I grew about 4 inches after grade 12. If you look at my graduation picture, I literally look like I'm graduating from grade 8. That's what I look like. And so in my class, I always struggled. I always struggled being on the outside and not feeling I fit in, and I didn't have the right clothes, and so I believed no one would ever actually want to be my friend. I believed that. And as a result, I built barriers, right? I was shy, I was awkward. I didn't know how to have a conversation. Not because I'm not able to do that, but because I believed I was unable to do it, and it was who I was becoming. And then when I felt like I couldn't control my life, I found a mechanism to cope with it. It was called anger. Anger was my way of lashing back at the world, lashing back at what I felt was injustice. And the interesting thing in the world of athletics is that actually anger can serve a purpose. And my coaches applauded it in me because when I got angry, I actually performed better. And so I justified my anger. But anger doesn't work in a marriage. And anger doesn't work when you have little kids that you're trying to control. You see, what I believed in each of those situations was beginning to impact how I behaved, and how I behaved was impacting who I was becoming. I was becoming an insecure, socially awkward, angry person. And I knew I needed to change. And maybe if you're honest with yourself, you know you need to change as well. So what informs our belief system? How did we get here? How are these beliefs formed in us? And I think there are three ways that they're built in us. The first is our environment. The environment that we find ourselves surrounded in. And when you were a child, you didn't get an option, right? You got what you got. And so the family of origin, where you came from, whatever that negative or dysfunctional behavior was, became normative for you because you were in that environment. If your family all screamed at each other, that's how you thought you dealt with conflict. You just scream at each other. If your family withheld love and withdrew and never said, "I love you," or never cared for you, never hugged you, you just thought that that's the way you function. And so that your environment begins to shape you. If you're surrounded by negative people all the time, guess what? You're going to be negative all the time. Because seeds are being planted, and these seeds are being watered, and these seeds become great trees, and you must eat its fruit no matter how bitter the fruit is. And so if you grew up in an addictive family, you will struggle more strongly with addictions. So our environment shapes us. So what we believe and who we become is shaped a lot by the environment we choose to put ourselves in. The second area that impacts us is our experiences. Many of us in this room, and many of you watching online, have had some terrible experiences. And those experiences are like a label, like a tattoo on the forehead that you see every time you look in the mirror, and you see it reflected back at you in the eyes of people who are responding to you. So whatever that experience was that told you you're worthless, whatever that experience was that said you'll never be good enough, or you're ugly, or you're a reject, whatever that experience is, it sticks with you and you believe it. You see it and it impacts your behavior. The kid who acts out in class is simply responding to a lie that they believe nobody will care, and it's the only way I can get some attention. And then the final one is expertise. Here's the fascinating thing about human nature. I've never met a human being who wants to be worse than they are. Like, not really. I mean, they're sociopaths, I suppose. But even then, they think they're doing a good thing. So that's why they're sociopaths. But here's the deal, right? No, I've never met anyone who said, you know what? I just wish I was more out of shape. I've been working really hard at just getting out of shape. You know, this fitness thing is, I'm going to watch more TV. I just need to consume more TV in my life. I know that'll be the solution for everything, right? More fatty foods. Yes, I know you want that. But no one says they don't ever say that out loud. No one says, you know, I want to be more stupid. So I'm not going to study. I want to be dumber than I am today. That's what I want. No one says that. We all want to be better. We all do. So why aren't we? I think it's because of the third. We just don't have the expertise. We want it, we just don't know how. We don't know how. If we knew how, we'd do it and we'd be better, but we're not. So these three form our belief system, our environment, our experiences, and our expertise. And so if you're here and you don't like who you're becoming, and you don't like what you're doing, how do you change? I mean, isn't that the question? Jesus comes into our world almost over 2,000 years ago, and he actually demonstrates a totally different way of looking at the world. And this is so fascinating to so many people. Most people hate him for it, but some love him for it because he does things that no one has ever done before. He works in the realm of impossibilities. He loves people that nobody loves. He cares for people nobody cares about. He heals people that have a limitation that says it's impossible to be restored from that. He forgives people who are unforgivable. And so this man named Nicodemus, who is a religious leader, comes to him at night. I love that phrase because it's a metaphor of where he was at his belief system. He was in a dark place. So he comes to Jesus and he's trying to figure Jesus out. And he says, listen, I know everything I've experienced. My environment, my religious leaders all tell me that you're like from Satan, so I'm not supposed to be hanging out with you. And my experience is that blind people don't see, and lame people don't walk, and deaf people don't hear, and certainly dead people don't come back to life. And my expertise is limited because you're from another space, another place. So explain this to me. I want to know, how can I change? How can I be different? And Jesus quotes what has become probably the most popular verse in the entire Bible, and yet there's a part of it that I think we often miss. And so Jesus, in a passage in the Bible called John 3:16, says this to those of us who feel like we've been defined by our belief system. He says this: for God so loved the world, that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him. See, God so loved the world that all you have to do is believe in him. No, come on, no. That's way too simple, right? I am sure there are steps I have to follow. I have to clean up. I have to smarten up. I have to get right. I have to be good before I can come to God, right? Like, God only loves good people. No, that's a faulty belief system. It's anyone who just believes. Whoever believes in him shall not perish, but will have everlasting life or eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Whoever believes, there it is again, in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe stands condemned already. Why? Because they have not believed. And if you don't believe, it won't change how you behave, and it won't change who you become. This is the verdict. Light has come into the world, But people loved darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light so that it may be seen plainly that what they have done has been done in the sight of God. So, you don't like who you're becoming, and you don't even maybe really like what you're doing or who you are. The great news is there's a cure, and the cure is change what you believe. Change what you believe. The way Arthur Clarke said it was this: the only way to find the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible. And here's the deal: you cannot do this on your own. If you could, you would have done it already. I have another confession today. It's a little bit painful, especially in a tough hockey culture of Canada. I'm a coward. There it is. It's just out. I'm out. It's out. I am a big, big coward. I'm afraid of a lot of things. I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of crawly, creepy things. I'm afraid of sickness. I just have a few hang-ups in my life. And when I was growing up, I had a sister who was the opposite. She is just like wild and adventurous, and I love it for her. I mean, she just takes life full force without thinking about the consequences, which freaked me out too. I was afraid of that. Anyway, I had this simple strategy for surviving life. It was called make your sister do it first. And if she lives, then you'll be all right. So whenever we'd come to a playground and there was a new slide, it was like, Cherie, you go first. Hey, I'm just a servant. I just love you so much, sis, you go first. And if she'd lived, then I'd do the slide. Or we'd go to the pool and there'd be a new high diving board like Olympic, and she'd jump off that and no problem. And then I'd jump and do a belly flop and hate her for it. And then we go to an amusement park, new roller coaster. You go first. You just tell me how it is. And then I'd go with her as she held my hand screaming. And so I needed somebody to step into my fear, into my faulty belief that I was going to die. You're not going to die sliding down a new slide. Come on. I had to have someone step into my faulty belief and show me a different reality, a new reality, that what I thought was impossible was possible. And the game changer for me, and this is probably the most important in this series, the game changer for me was when God helped me change what I believe. When I actually believed that Jesus came into this world because he loved me. And he came into this world to show me all the things that I thought were impossible. Bill, you'll never be smart. That impossibility became a possibility because Jesus says, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. It's this reality that we need to change the way we think about social settings and structures. Where I was so worried about what would you think of me, I realized, no, it's not about me at all. It's how I can serve you. He changed the way I thought about God and the world and myself. And so I went on to get a master's degree with highest honors. The kid who barely passed high school, who was told he was stupid. Highest honors, that's not a credit to me. It was because I believed that God had created me for something and I could do it if he asked me to. The same kid who was afraid of people and still has to work through that issue a little bit, just decided to love people even when they were harmful and hurtful and damaging with their words. How was that possible? Because Jesus did it. Jesus, when he was stripped naked and nailed to a tree in a garbage dump and mocked, uttered these words, Father, forgive them. And in that he demonstrated that it is possible to love even your enemies. My fear of death was vanquished when I really believed that Jesus died and rose again, because if he did it, he showed us the way. It was going to happen for me too. And so I don't live in fear of dying anymore. You see, what God wants to do for you is he wants to step into each of these myths, these lies. He wants to help you change your environment. Jesus came into this world and he created a new group of people. It was called the church, or we call them believers. It was a group of people who chose to believe a different way. They aren't perfect. We don't have it all figured out. We're not better than anyone else. We just believe that God can heal our marriages and God can heal our bodies, and we just believe that God can give us purpose and destiny. We just believe that we can actually make this world a better place. We actually believe that it doesn't matter what people think of us because we're already loved. this is what we believe. And so we try our best to create environments where you can experience that every week. And if you're not fully engaged in that, then I want to encourage you to reconsider that. And then he takes our experiences, our painful experiences, and he heals them. The broken parts of me, the parts where I thought, God, this is what people say about me. Is it true? And he'd say, no, it's not. And he was able to heal the deep wounds in my life, and he's still in that process. It's like clay on a potter's wheel. He still has to apply pressure and shape and form, but he's making something beautiful. And he's not doing it so I can impress you. He's doing it because he loves me. And then he gives me the expertise to live. I come across situations all the time that are way over my head. I don't know what to do. Leading an organization that is bigger than my capacity, sometimes I feel, and working through kids and situations that I feel ill-equipped to handle. He gives me the expertise I need. And when I follow it, it works. It just works. I can't explain it to you. It just works. Love really does win every time. And so God is willing to step into your existence too. You see, you need to know something. We don't believe in a worldview. We don't believe in a religion, and we don't believe in a philosophy. We believe in a person. And we believe that it's not a one-time decision that you just go, yeah, you say a certain prayer and you're in. No. We believe it's a journey. It's a process of following a person that every day you want to become more like them. Like when you were a little kid and maybe you didn't have a great dad. I had an awesome dad. Every day I just wanted to be more like my dad. It's why I had the little plastic tool belt, and it's why I would go into the workshop and I'd hammer I wasn't doing anything productive at all, but I just felt like I wanted to be like my dad, right? I combed my hair the way my dad combed his hair. I wanted to wear the same clothes that my dad. I just wanted to be my dad, right? Because you're not following a set of belief systems. It's not like he gave me a book and he said, here's how to be a Markham. I just watched him and I followed him. This is what God wants to do for you as well. You see, we don't do this because we want to be a part of a religion. We do this because we want to be part of a revolution. We want to be a part of a revolution that says, hey, world, you think that's impossible? Let me show you what is possible with God, right? We want to be a part of a revolution that says, you know what? You go on and hate. We're not going to hate. We're going to retaliate with love. We're going to win with love. We're not going to allow the pressures of this world to consume us. We're going to allow peace to rule our hearts and our minds. We're not going to get discouraged by the news that only celebrates the negative. We're going to have joy in God because of who he says we are. We're going to face every day with a new passion and a new intensity to change the world. Why? Because this is what the Bible says. If Jesus sets you free, you will be free indeed.
This will be interview 3, take 1. Any comment?
So growing up, I always just wanted to fit in. I wanted to be the coolest kid. I wanted to have the funniest jokes. And the harder I tried to be like, the less people liked me. And so at a really young age, I started drinking, I started doing drugs. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to be accepted. And unlike all my other friends, I just had a hard time knowing how to say when, like how to stop. My friends just started getting sick of it. And kind of all came to a head this one night when we were at a party and I drank way too much again. And my best friend, my only real friend, he just had enough of me. He pulled me out front of this house and he beat me up. And that night I slept in a park. I couldn't go home because I'd already lied to my mom. And I remember laying there under the trees that night and just freezing and shivering and thinking to myself, it doesn't get any worse than this. Everyone I knew hated me. I just began to sit around at home and think of different ways in which I could end my life. In the middle of this point in my life, I met this group of kids at school, and they invited me out to Central. And so I went and I showed up, and it was kind of like my whole life I was asleep and I woke up, or like I was blind to the world and then my eyes were opened. It was and it was like this just part of me that I didn't even know was there. It just came alive, and everything for me changed. Over the next year, these new friends began to show me what it meant to live my life with a purpose. And as I began to understand that Christ had a purpose and a plan for my life, I just shed all the things in my past that were holding me back, and God literally transformed everything. I still remember the feeling of learning that I could start over. That all the things that had defined me up to the point and I'd made my life could just be done. And I could start fresh. And the potential that came out of that was beautiful. And I started to dream, and I started to realize that I could make a difference. My life mattered. I wasn't alone. And I could do something significant with my life. And I just feel that I have something beautiful, like this treasure that I found, and I just want to give it away to people. Because some people stuck and they're just feeling so hopeless and so lost, and I just want to let them know that there is hope and there is purpose. And they're not alone. So if they get this one idea, if they get this one truth, that there's a God who loves them, that has a plan for their future, it would be a game changer for them.
Trust him, you can rely on him. He's the hope that we have. If you know it, let's sing it together. In this time of desperation, when all we know is doubt and fear, there is only one foundation. We believe that he conquered death. We believe in the resurrection, and he's coming back again. We believe.
So let our faith be more than ever, greater than the songs we sing. And in our weakness and temptation, we believe. We believe. We believe in God the Father. We believe in Jesus Christ. We believe in the Holy Spirit, and he's given us new life. We believe in the crucifixion. We believe that he conquered We believe in the Holy Spirit, and He's giving us new life. We believe in the crucifixion. We believe that He conquered death. We believe in the resurrection, and He's coming back. He's coming back again. And He's coming back again. Yes, you are. Oh, we believe in you, Jesus.
So, what do you believe? Is what you believe making you the type of person you want to become? Is what you believe helping you in your actions and thoughts every day? What do you believe? You may be hearing you say, well, I believe because I'm a Christian. No. That's just a label. That's a label we give ourselves. It's not really who we are, because who you truly are, what you really believe, actually informs every behavior. If you truly are a follower, you will be reflecting that in every thought, every word, every deed, every action that you pursue. Is what do you really believe? And maybe you're here today and you actually realize and recognize, as I do often, that I need to change what I believe. Maybe you're here and you're holding on to bitterness and resentment, unforgiveness. Maybe you're struggling with anger or negativity. Maybe you find yourself repeating cycles that you're just sick and tired of, and you realize today you need to change what you believe. The great news is that you can. You can. Now, you can't do it on your own. You need divine intervention. But that's why Jesus came into this world, to show you a totally new way of living. How do I get that? You just believe it. That's it. And if you're here and you want to be a part of this change, you know that's the issue. Could I encourage you to join us in an environment where we're going to do our very best to encourage one another in thinking and believing the way that Jesus wants us to? Can I encourage you, for many of you, maybe the first step, you came here this week for the first time. Maybe the next step is just coming next week and continuing in this journey on Gamechangers. Or maybe today you want to sign up into a new environment, a group of some kind. Maybe you're here and you realize a painful experience is the limitation. It's keeping you from believing that you have value and that you're loved and you're worth something. At the end of this experience today, we're going to have a team up here that would just love to pray with you. And we just believe that we can ask anything in His name and it is done. We just believe that. That if you need something healed, something that's broken inside of you, whether it's a physical thing, a financial thing, a relational thing, there's a God who can intervene and heal that brokenness, change your experience, turn your mourning into dancing. And then maybe you just need some expertise. You're stuck in life. You've been trying to figure it out on your own and you don't know how. Can I encourage you to start reading the Bible? Start in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the first 4 books of the New Testament. If you don't have a Bible, we'd love to give you one. Get connected again in a group that's feeding those thoughts and those ideas. Explore it together. So here's the deal. Today, we're just inviting you into a life that matters. And a life that matters is simply those of us who are trying our best to follow in the way of Jesus. And we'd love to have you on the journey. We need you, and you need us. So what do you believe? And if this is new for you today, actually, we want to just highlight one thing that we already talked about really a little bit earlier. If you want to figure out who God is and whether this is worth believing in, we have a course starting this fall called Alpha, and we'd love for you to sign up. And just to let you know a little bit about what that is, we're just going to show you a video highlight of Alpha right now. So thank you. You may be seated as we watch the screens together.
Every day we ask so many questions. What should I wear? What's the weather going to be like? How am I going to fit everything in? But then there are those bigger questions, like why am I here? Where am I heading? Is there more to life than this?
I had arrived at an answer to the most important issue that we humans ever deal with. Is there a God? And I had arrived there without ever really looking at the evidence. And I was supposed to be a scientist.
At 28, I had gotten many of the things that I thought I wanted. My girlfriend was on the cover of magazines, I had a Beamer, and I was so unhappy. It was a realization maybe that I would never find happiness where I was looking for it.
I think for so many years, I always just strived to be strong in myself. All I needed was me and my buddies and, we'd be like invincible. But the truth is, none of us are.
I found purpose, I found meaning, I found hope. God took something so broken and made it a beautiful art piece.
Alpha is a place where you can be yourself. You can say what you think and challenge everything. No question is too complex or too simple. And what your point of view is as important as anyone else's.
We are going on a journey together, an adventure to explore the questions of life, faith, and meaning.
So what do you believe? I'm not talking about the thing you say you believe, and I'm not talking about some advice that you heard from someone else that you've adopted. I'm talking about what do you really believe at your core? What is shaping everything you do, everything you think about, everything you talk about? What do you really believe, and who are you becoming? And if you're here today and you feel like you'd like to change, whether this is your first time with us or you've been coming all your life to church, maybe you were born in the church. I mean, literally, you've been here all your life, but you recognize today that there's a distance between what you say you believe and what you actually believe, because you see it reflected in your actions, your attitudes, and it's who you've become. And if today you'd like to change, we'd like to be a part of that process with you. There are 3 things that you can do before you leave today. If you'd like, there's a prayer team at the front. They'd love to pray with you. That's one step. If you're in a hurry, we totally get that. You can just take a moment to fill out the connection card that's in the seat in front of you. And if you drop it off in one of the 4 boxes on your way out, someone will contact you early on in the week. If you're watching online, just interact with the online pastor right now, and we'll help you any way that we can. Or if you'd like to sign up for something or get more information about something that you heard about today, you can just go to the great big blue wall, which is just outside these doors and to your left, and someone will be happy to answer all your questions. But I want to challenge you. What do you really believe? And is it making you the person you want to be? If not, today God can change all of that for you. And so today, I bless you with the truth that you were created in the image of God. I bless you with the truth that no matter whatever label was placed on you by an experience or by another person, no matter what brokenness you walk into this place with because of past experiences, whether done at your hand or the hand of another, I bless you with the truth that no matter where you find yourself, no matter how dark, light has come into this world. And the light came into this world not to condemn, but to liberate, to set free. I bless you with the truth that you were created in the image of God. And God has been pursuing you all your life so that you could believe. You could believe in who you really are and who God really is and the way this world really is. So do not give in to despair. Do not give in to discouragement. Do not give up on yourself because God hasn't yet. And so I bless you with the fact that you can change the way you believe today with God's help. And as He changes you, my prayer and my blessing is that everywhere you'd go, you'd help others see Him too. For if there's anything this world needs, it's to believe again in hope, in peace, in love. And all of those things are not an idea, they're a person, and His name is Jesus. With this, I bless you in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Amen.